Welcome to the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top leaders who share stories on how to successfully systemize a business. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, Adi Klevit here, the host of the System Simplified podcast, where I feature top founders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders about systematizing a business. And today's episode is being brought to you by Business Success Consulting Group, where we create, document, optimize, and implement processes and procedures so businesses can grow and thrive. And today's guest is a really special guest, Brian Kurtz. Brian, the legend, right here on my podcast.
Yeah, legend is a bit of an overstatement, but I'll take it if I can get it. The one thing I'm not, though, which I'll correct you on, I am not a thought leader, and I hate the word thought leader. And the reason why, from my friend Joe Polish, he says anyone can have a thought, but it's results that happen. And I know you're a results leader, so I tell you, I can't. Certain terms end up. They're part of my vocabulary for a while, and then I learn something, and then I eliminate them completely. And one of them is thought leader, so it's always results leader. Another one is tripwire. I don't know if people on your audience here know what a tripwire is in marketing, but a tripwire is like a welcome mat. It's a lead magnet. So you give away some content to get their name, or as a bonus or whatever. And there are these marketers that use the term tripwire, and I'm thinking, like, you know what a tripwire is? It's like you go through a tripwire and you blow up. I mean, it's an act of warfare. Is that the way you want to treat your best customers? It's like I did a blog post, and the subject line is, why would you want to blow up your best customers?
Well, I like it, but it makes a good blog post. Absolutely.
It does.
Well, Brian, let me introduce you. So first of all, I want to shout out to Dan Kushel, who was on my podcast twice. I was on his podcast, and we met through his mastermind.
Yeah, that was great.
That was amazing. And then I joined your mastermind, and I just went through a boot camp, and you absolutely are a genius when it comes to marketing. Let me read your bio, because it's pretty amazing, right? So you've been a serial direct response marketer for 45 years with 2 careers. First, doing it for the first 34, and then teaching it for the last 11. But you're definitely a result leader. So you helped build direct marketing publisher Boardroom Inc. into a 9-figure powerhouse, peaking at 150 million. So you're right there. It's amazing. And currently you run a mastermind of over 200 marketers, copywriters, and entrepreneurs, helping them make more money and have bigger impact. You also written 2 books, Overdeliver and the Advertising Solutions. So here is the Overdelivered. I definitely recommend our listeners to go and get the book. And we're going to talk about some concept from this book. And
just a quickie, don't buy it directly on Amazon. If you buy it, and I'm not selling the book here because I don't make any money on it, but buy it at overdeliverbook.com. That's a site, because on that site you get all of these bonuses and all these amazing things from my mentors over the 45 years. And I guess it's spurned from the fact that you title a book Overdeliver. You better over-deliver on the bonuses for the book.
And you do, and you will get it in the mail. I mean, I got my package, and it has also a flash drive with all the information.
That's the
boot camp. Okay, but I got over-delivered. It's fine. I mean,
I definitely will over-deliver. But just to buy the book, I'll over-deliver digitally to you with the bonuses. So overdeliverbook.com if people want to buy the book. Don't 100%. Buy the book yet. Wait till you hear what I have to say and whether Adi takes me to task, and then you don't want to buy the book.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Okay, good. So, Brian, so many entrepreneurs, they have brilliant ideas about marketing, right? So they try to, it also can create chaos while they are trying to grow, right? So, what advice would you give to the business owners that are listening to us right now and on balancing creativity and innovation with structure and operational discipline. How do you do that?
It's a great question, obviously, and it's not an easy answer. But the way I look at it is that most entrepreneurs, and I'm sure yours are no exception, is that they probably have some form of ADHD. Now, that is not a death knell. That is not a negative. In fact, I'll maintain that being ADHD is the most positive thing you can have as an entrepreneur. In fact,
Let's you know, just like you wanted to reshape the thought leader, I would like to reshape it as somebody who is basically they want to do a lot of things, because I don't want
exactly.
negativity of the then we label and you are like that. You're not. I mean, if you want to put
No.
attention on something, you do. If you don't, you don't. I mean, that's really what it
No,
is.
I mean, Ned Hallowell, who's one of the top experts, he's written 18 books all about ADHD, all about, in fact, his best-selling book is driven to distraction. And he basically maintains that without ADHD, we'd have no entrepreneurs. We'd have so much less creativity in the world. We'd have so much less. But I'm not going to label them. Let's label them as like shiny object people, or
Right.
people who are always looking to the next big thing without paying attention to the thing right in front of them. And that's going to be the nature of the beast as an entrepreneur. The way that I suggest, and especially with my mastermind members, because I just flood them. I give them a fire hose of information. I get speakers on all marketing channels. I get the best of the best to bring in, because I always believe that you have to know what all the whats are. By the whats, meaning you have to know Facebook, you have to know Instagram, you have to know Google, you have to know direct mail, you have to know TV and radio. You need to know everything, Amazon. You need to know all the selling mechanisms, but you don't have to do them all immediately. So what I suggest is, basically it sounds simple. It's hard for, driven entrepreneurs to do, but you got to have a parking garage. You've got to have a place that you can get under control, say there are two times, now and not now. And it's not easy. I'm not saying this is an easy
No,
fix
but
or
I
anything.
agree with you. I mean, I do the same. I mean, when I hear a great marketing idea, or let's say I go to your mastermind, every Thursday, almost every Thursday, oh, this is a great idea. I have a board. Actually, we use ClickUp. So I have a board on ClickUp. It's called Marketing Ideas, or Marketing Ideas I Like. And I put everything there, including the websites and the resources and all that. And it's there. So it's out of my system. But we create strategic marketing plan every quarter, and we have three main things. I mean, we're doing all of our usual things because we don't drop them. But then if we have the time and the attention, then we concentrate on three initiatives that we're going to finish within a quarter. And
Exactly.
my marketing director, she's very focused on that. And we have weekly meetings that, okay, where are we at? Are we on track, off track? I mean, how are we progressing on that? So that
I mean,
is
the
very
thing that
important.
always like gets to me is when I get somebody in my mastermind who decides to leave. And we don't get a lot of people leaving, but someone who leaves. And and they, well, usually it's time or money, the reasons why they leave. And the worst excuse is, and I've gotten it many times, Brian, just too many ideas. And I said, too many ideas? What is that? I mean, you just can't get them. I don't lecture them, but I say you got to get them under control. Every idea could be the best idea, but it's not the best idea to do now. And I love your system. You have a parking lot of your own device, of your own mechanism, but you must have that, especially if you're a creative entrepreneur. Every idea sounds like the best new idea. The new one is always better than the old one. It's the new, shining star that, that you have to go to, and you forget the other ones. And, it's a discipline. And I think that one of the things, surrounding yourself in your organization, especially if you're a founder or a CEO, surrounding yourself with people who can basically, like, put the reins on you, not to not be creative, not to not accept an idea, but to not act on everything immediately. And that's the big difference. And again, it sounds simple, and there are other techniques that I have too, but that's probably the biggest one.
I know that's a great technique. Okay, so let's talk about, you actually identify the 9 reasons, right, that entrepreneurs are how do you call it in the book? Like in terms of
It's basically it's nine things that every entrepreneur needs to know about marketing, even if they have no intention of being involved in the marketing. Because look, some entrepreneurs come out of a marketing bent, some come out of a technology bent, some come out of a management bent. But I believe, not just because I've done marketing for 45 years, I believe marketing isn't everything, it's the only thing. But marketing is the fundamental way that you get new business. And, new business is the lifeblood of every company. I will also say, as a caveat to that, is that your existing customers are equally important to the new customers. And, it's always easier to get, it's always easier to keep a customer than to get a new one. So to make sure that when you get a customer, it's like you never let them go. You
right.
have to love them. You have to, embrace them. We could talk about that later. But I will say, I'll just quickly go through it. I'll go through them
Yeah, let's
quickly.
go for the 9 reasons. I mean,
Yeah.
let's.
So I'll
I
list
know
them
our
off and
listeners.
then we
Yeah.
can go in deep in any one of them. So the first is be involved in all your marketing efforts, even if you outsource everything. So that involves making sure that you have a dashboarding system of some sort that especially if you're the CEO, you can demand anything. So you need to demand from your underlings a report, a dashboard that enables you to see in a snapshot how your marketing is doing. You don't have to be involved in it necessarily. I suggest you get involved in it to some degree, but if it's just not your thing, you still need to pay attention.
Yeah, you
Because
have to see what's happening. Absolutely. You
yeah,
have to be in
the worst
control.
thing you can do is to tell an agency, to tell a copywriter, to tell a media buyer, do me. Just do
Right.
do me. And you take care of me and I'll pay the bills. You'll lose a lot of money
Oh,
doing
yeah. I
it.
mean, it's the same thing with your CPA, with your bookkeeper, with everything else.
Absolutely.
Okay. Number two. What's
Number
number
two is
two?
marketing is not evil. And that's something that if you're not a marketer, but you are an entrepreneur, you need to accept the fact that marketing is not, it can be evil, but it's not evil in its essence. And I learned this speaking internationally because most international marketers, I'm not saying this is the ugly American, but they are behind America. And I'm not bragging here. America is number one in all marketing. Number two, the distant number two could be Germany, could be Brazil, could be Australia, UK, but everything is a distant second to 10th after the United States.
Right.
So I learned this by going to Budapest, Hungary, getting on a stage with Hungarian entrepreneurs who were interested in marketing, very small group because it was 250 people, but it's a country that was communist until 1989. So they're sitting on their hands when the ugly American gets on stage. And so I had to convince them first and foremost that marketing is not evil. I was able to make the case and then win them over so that when I got on the stage, it was polite clap and then put their hands under their legs. But then by the end, I did get a standing ovation, but whether they were being polite or not, but I think I kind of convinced them that congruent, consistent marketing is never evil. And that was
Yes.
the key.
Good.
Number
Number
three,
three.
number three is no one spends enough time on lists. Um, the
Right.
and so but by lists meaning your customers. I actually talk about words and semantics. My list that I blog to every Sunday morning, I call it my online family. And I believe it because that gives me, I write from my heart and not just to sell stuff. And my blogs are stories, they're value, they're all value. But no one spends enough time on list segmentation, diving deep into different aspects of your customer base. And we talked about that in the Breakthrough Advertising Bootcamp, which was, a 2 week sprint through a book that Adi
Because you have the
joined.
different level of sophistication, you
Exactly.
have the different messaging, they are at different
Different messaging to
stages.
different list segments. That's right.
That's right, different messaging to different list segment, because it's not necessarily, also what I learned is not, it's, you don't necessarily have to segment them by, let's say, different, I mean, you do, it will be good like by different professions, etc., but it's also segmented by how much they know you and your relationship with them, because
Exactly.
that's how you're going
Exactly.
to build a relationship.
Yeah,
And you
one
talk
size
about,
fits all messaging to a list is not the way to go, especially when you're online where it doesn't cost you anything. I mean, I used to do direct mail, printing and postage. And in that case, segmenting your list was a lot more expensive. And it's not more costly, but you do have to do the work to be able to send your message to the appropriate segment of your list, aka online family.
For sure.
Number
Okay,
four
number
is
four.
customers refund transactions, not relationships. And this is critical. Like, I always say that everything in business and in life is not a revenue event, but everything in business and in life is a relationship event.
That's
And this
true.
is more true online today than it even was offline in direct mail and TV and radio, because, everything you can develop a relationship with your online family over time. They don't have to buy immediately, and they will eventually buy from you once they know, like, and trust you. So I can go into it more with customer service being a marketing function and all of that, but we don't have time for that. But I will say that this is really critically important that, um, that customers refund transactions, not relationships.
But it's true. It's very true.
Number five, credibility and transparency trump all. And what I mean by that is, you don't have to be something you're not when you're writing to your customers or you're selling or serving. People will give you the benefit of the doubt. In fact, I know a lot of entrepreneurs who tell their story, which is a lot of tragedy and it's a lot of failure to get to where they were. And the transparency, if you don't want to fake transparency, you don't want to
No.
make it up. But I think credibility and transparency is your biggest friend when you're doing marketing.
Dan does that. Dan Kushel and I, in my first podcast that I interviewed him, he went over his story. So did Debbie Allen. I just
Yeah,
interviewed
everybody's got
her
a hero's
story
journey. Yeah.
because that does also shape you and get you to change or to take action or whatever it is. I agree.
Exactly. Exactly.
All
So
right,
that
number
that that's
six.
important. Number
Yeah.
six is always think direct marketing. And what direct marketing or direct response marketing is make sure that all of your marketing is measurable and accountable. Back in the 1960s when the madmen were ruling the earth, the madmen being the guys on Madison Avenue, doing general advertising, there was no accountability to their advertising. They would do a campaign for Lucky Strike cigarettes, and if they sold more cigarettes after 12 months of the campaign, they said the campaign worked. Doesn't work that way. Direct response marketing is measurable, it's accountable, it makes sure that every piece of media that you buy, and this goes back to, okay, you're the entrepreneur that's not really involved in your marketing. You need a dashboard that says, we paid X for this particular medium, Google AdWords, for example, or Facebook advertising. What did we spend and what did we make? And
Yeah.
is what we made, even if we didn't break even, over time, will it break even? And you need to have a command of those numbers in whatever form that you need, whether you do the marketing or not. So that's why it's critical to know, always thinking about direct marketing and measurability. Number seven is use your personal brand in your marketing where applicable. Kind of ties back to credibility and transparency. When you tell your story, Adi, or Dan Kushel tells his story, you know, trials and tribulations, if they're true, can definitely endear you to an audience for the right reasons. You don't want to be manipulative. You don't want to be,
Right.
exploitative. But I think you definitely want to tell your story as it should be told, and therefore endear them to you.
And who
Number eight.
doesn't have those trial and tribulations? So definitely something that needs to be added. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. I don't
Yeah.
have a lot of trials and tribulations in my life. In fact, I guess the biggest one I had is I almost died. I had a massive
Minor thing. Yeah.
near fatal stroke. But the interesting thing with me was that when I woke up, it wasn't like a wake up moment for me. I already was living my life, my best life beforehand. I was depressed for 6 months, just thinking about how close I came to dying, but I didn't change how I live my life. Most
Yeah.
people have like that big moment and stuff, but I never went bank. I'm not. It's like sometimes I'm saying I'm proud of the fact that I never went bankrupt. I don't know if that's right. I mean, I think going bankrupt is a badge of honor sometimes that I don't have.
No, it doesn't have to, but I think it's whatever is real to you that you can
Exactly.
convey. And that's what we are looking for. Good. What is
And
number seven?
that was number seven,
That
personal
was number
brand.
seven. Number
Number
eight.
eight is advertising opportunities are now infinite. I already hinted at that. Back in the day when I was doing direct marketing in 1923, not really, but you know, um, it was direct mail, it was print advertising, it was TV, radio, a few other different alternate media. Today, advertising opportunities are infinite. So the thing that I stress in marketing, and again, you're the CEO, you're the founder, you're not involved in the marketing, but make sure that you're buying a la carte. Now, there are agencies like your agency is a different kind of agency. You're not claiming that you're everything to everybody in media or anything like that.
Well, I
Like
don't have an agency.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm saying that, if you go to someone or your marketing person goes to someone and they say, I'm going to handle all of your social media, run away. Run away. Because you want a Facebook expert, you want an Instagram expert, you want a Google AdWords expert, you want an Amazon expert, whatever media you're going to be in, you need an expert. And we always bought a la carte as opposed to from a one-stop shopping agency. And I learned that because the copywriters in particular, that the people who write magical copy that gets people to pull out their wallets, they are they are never going to work in an agency, the best ones, because they get a royalty on every sale that they make. Why would they work at an agency for a salary if they're that good? So that was a indication that, yeah, why would I go to an agency and get everything done in one place when I can get the best copywriter here, I can get the best Google AdWords buyer there, the best direct mail list broker there. So just advertising opportunities are now infinite, and therefore you need to spread the wealth among your vendors, and your vendors are your partners.
That's a
And number
very good
nine,
advice. Number
number
nine. Yeah.
nine is just it's sort of, I made it funny, but it's not funny. I own the website, and you can go to it if you want, the URL, singlechannelmarketingissoboring.com. If you go there, it goes to my Titans marketing website. And I own it. I pay whatever, $48 a year to own that URL to always remind myself when I get that bill from GoDaddy, it reminds me that to be in a single channel is crazy. Like to say I'm a Facebook advertiser, even to say I'm an internet advertiser is silly. You are an online marketer. I mean, to define yourself by a channel as opposed to define yourself as a marketer of X services or products that happens to use more Facebook than anything else, different discussion. But if you're a single
Well,
channel
that it relates to step number what you said in eight, that you want somebody to specialize, but they have to
exactly.
specialize in a segment of the marketing.
And also, I have horror stories after horror story of people who had all of their business in one medium. Like I'm sure everybody's heard the stories about I had all my business on Facebook, and on a whim, Facebook shut me down and I was out of business. I've seen that happen. Amazon, I had a company that I work with, $38 million supplement company, 100% sales on Amazon, no other channels. Amazon, Mr. Amazon, not Jeff Bezos, but someone at Amazon said one day, your copy is not compliant with our standards. You're off Amazon. He was out of business.
Yeah.
The most dangerous number in business, according to Dan Kennedy, is one of anything, and one
It's
medium
true.
counts. Yeah.
It really is. You can put all your eggs in one basket. Well, Brian, that was amazing. And that actually gets us right now, right to the end of the podcast, because you gave us the information, which is incredible. Again, over deliver, go buy the book and go to the website. So give us the website again.
Overdeliverbook.com.
Overdeliverbook.com. Of course, it's in the show notes. Read the book. That's just what Brian went over, the 9 reasons, the nine things you should know as an entrepreneur, just at the beginning of the book. And then you have
There's a lot more in the book about different marketing. I tried. It's not a primer in marketing, but it is. I do go over basic concepts like lifetime value and RFM, recency, frequency, monetary, and what I call the 41-39-20 rule. I'll tease your audience a little bit, but they're not complicated concepts. But I think that one of the things that I was able to do in the book was to be able to explain them in a way that, became clearer for certain types of entrepreneurs to grasp. I didn't invent anything. I've never invented a thing in my life. However, being able to be a messenger for core eternal concepts of marketing is basically my mission in life. And I
And you are
think that
executing it. So
it,
thank you for that. And it was a pleasure having you on this podcast, Brian. And I'm sure I'm going to get you back here because there is so much more that we can talk. And our listeners, I can already see it. I'm going to have comments. Hey, we want to hear more from Brian. So definitely go and
thank
get the
you.
book. And we will continue this conversation. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Adi.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for listening to the System Simplified podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.